mountain range.
So I had an interesting topic come up in conversation about one of our conversations we had. And what it was being focused on healing, feeling, and emotion versus just purely reaching truth, and the importance of the directionality of where you're going. I mean, is it more important to focus on getting to the root of feeling and emotion, or just experiencing pure truth and then moving forward through that? And I was interested in if you have a perspective on that.
Is that in regards to medicine or life in general?
It is. I mean, I keep these conversations kind of about in the point of retreats and experiencing psychedelics as a healing experience. Sometimes there does come the question of why, like, where are we headed? What's the directionality of the experience? Is it just purely the experience and where it goes? Are you just revealing truth? Or is there something that you're trying to go towards in the healing process? I bring it from a personal experience point. For me personally, I am looking for shadow work, and I'm working it backwards through chasing down feelings. Why do I feel this way? Trying to find the moment and then go through that moment and feel it so I can grow forward and move forward by integrating it, right?
Yeah.
But I do that through emotion and feeling, and I got an outside perspective of that's less important than just revealing pure truth and chasing truth that's revealed from the experience. I'm looking for outside perspectives here. You have a thought on that, Gina?
Well, what I just heard you say is you're looking for outside perspectives.
Well, I have been, like I said, doing a whole lot of integration and internal, and I've been doing a lot of this for years by myself. It's kind of why I started this channel, started having these conversations, because there comes a point where the internal integration becomes external to it, internal, rather than just internal. I'm very introverted, always have been. Part of my experience with Bufo and these things have turned me from being purely more introverted to trying to be more extroverted, experiencing a different perspective, right? It's causing a change in me. So yeah, I'm trying to reach out and get other perspectives rather than just relying on my own internal processes. And in that, I heard somebody say, it's less important to just chase the emotion and the feeling than to just embrace the truth of things. And I'm just bouncing that off of the two of you. See if that rings any bells for you.
I think, Miss Gina, we're the outside perspective from himself right now. But yeah, man, I always say it's third party perspective. Like, there's two sides to every story, and then the witness, and you cross reference, and somewhere in there is the truth. Yeah. I always encourage people to do art and journal. Like, you can figure out the world in a 12-hour journey, but if you don't remember it, then you wake up the next day and you might be in the same spot. But if you paint it out or you write it out, even if it looks like some Ram Dass, handwriting turning into a duck, turning into a goose, flying away, you still it triggers stuff. Like when you make it external, and whether you're by yourself or with someone coaching you or in a group, I always encourage arting and journaling. It's kind of one and the same to me. I don't know. Back to you, Miss Gina, Miss G, Ma G.
Well, let me speak for where I am in the moment. There is no external input. I've been seeking for many, many, many years. There hasn't been anything I don't believe I've devoured yet. Maybe Judaism is the one, even though I'm very close to it. A friend of mine named me many, many years ago, she who seeks. And I've come to a point in my current state in this vessel that I encourage myself to stop seeking outside anything. I'm not in a place to want to take anything. There is no more putting in. There is so much already in there. When you mentioned integration in my experience only, I don't know when that ends. It never ends. If I continue doing something over and over again, if I don't sit with it in silence, or walk with it in silence, or draw with it in silence, or write. For me, the most important factor where I'm at currently is my inner mentor, my inner guidance, which becomes stronger and stronger as I become more and more aware and back off of judging. This is all habitual pattern. There's all the lingo, but my experience is all I have to offer. And it's so different for each of us, right? I mean, like you said, Laco, which is a very cool name. That you might feel like in a journey, whether it was with plant, spiritual, whatever it might be. And then if you forget it, and then I go back to, oh my God, we have so many stories. We all have so many stories. You mentioned being an introvert, and these experiences that you've had with the medicines have caused you to be more of an extrovert. Is that what you said?
It's caused me to entertain the perspective of introversion versus extroversion, where I'm in myself introverted. I just am, but I'm experiencing things intentionally a little more extroverted on purpose. And I do want to say I agree with both of you. Like I'm bouncing this off of you as a trying it out, but I don't truly agree with it. I wanted to kind of see how you all felt about it too, because I didn't feel so much that I feel that emotion and feeling is where it's at, and introversion is kind of the truth of being, because we experiencing everything from our own perspective as a singular fractal of a whole. It's the only perspective we kind of have is our spot. Experiencing the whole is what we have.
We can only empathize with what we've been through. If not, it's sympathy. I'm reminded of this is a almost knockdown, drag out argument. Like my pops and I grew up in salons and law offices. I write you a brief, or I could give you highlights, lowlights, and do your nails. But my pops, being a lawyer, they talk about being objective a lot, and I came at him with, I think it was Aristotle said, "Give me a lever and a place to stand, I could move the world." And so this discussion ended up where I'm drawing like planets, and I'm like, wherever you are, you have to stand somewhere, and so it's impossible to truly be objective. Like, you can't suddenly be the dark matter, and even then you would be the dark matter looking at the universe, or if you're inside of the black hole looking out, does it look like a sun when you're inside of it? But you always are standing someplace. So the idea of truly objective just isn't real. You can, say a judge in a court, they can put aside their own bias and they go by the law and interpret the law. But even that at its core still comes from where they're sitting on the bench. Well, I don't know, it's kind of what you just triggered for me, my thought.
I like it. I've come to that realization that reality itself is subjective. It is not something that acts without being acted upon. We are all participating in what it is constantly. Without that participation and observation, it doesn't even truly exist.
So curious for both of you, and an example right now in the moment. If our brains, if like we live in 3 dimensions, with fourth being time, and we can get to the 5th through meditation and different practices. Medicines are, lack of a better term at the moment, a shortcut. It's a quick key, right?
Portal.
And that all that we experience in meditation or on medicines is always happening, but our mind is filtering it out through our 5 senses so that we be able to go through the day and be the, as introvert extrovert, we're still social creatures that rely on systems. When I heard, I caught a clip where it said your brain is living in a hallucination. Like it feeds you what it thinks would be happening, and then information comes in and it's constantly adjusting. My example in the moment is when my mic doesn't work, but I can hear myself, my brain's filtering that it's working,
Yes.
with the other one that with Josie, where I was like leaning in and then leaning back, I could still hear myself.
Yeah.
So my brain's filtering this hallucination that, what do you mean you can't hear me? I can hear me fine.
Yes.
And it takes going and looking like, ooh, I was covering the mic thing. I only had a half a mic.
It's a perfect representation. It really is, of the outside perspective. It really is. Because it is subjective to the personal experience. It really is.
I got a Maji. They call it She Who Seeks. Was that, did they give you that name in English or was it in some other language?
Oh, it was that particular name. I've been given many, but that particular name was really on the cuff of fun and seeking, and it was just a friend giving her friends names back in the day, early 90s. Yeah, it was. I mean, we've been friends forever. We're still very close.
I remember the 90s.
Yeah. She's my friend who's Jewish, who doesn't practice Judaism, but is very much against the Bible. It's really fun being friends with her. When I was on the path to Islam, I've walked many paths. I was living upstairs at her home with her and her partner at the time. And I'm very visual. So like right now I'm teaching myself Japanese, but at that time I was teaching myself Arabic. And I'm old school in my being, although I adapt to what's current in technology. But the way that I truly memorize from my old theater days too is I need to see the words. So I write everything big, and if I don't have a dry erase board, then I buy like that long wrapping paper. And this to me is a form of art. So I don't have to mess up the walls because they're not mine. If they were mine, I'd be writing on the walls. But anyway, and so I put the paper all over, tape it up, and I write my big markers, and then so I see it every day. How I memorize.
I love it.
She came upstairs one day and she looked around. And again, my dear friend, again, for years, 30 years, we've been like so close. And and we couldn't be more different in many ways, but also in our hearts, though we're very similar. We do a lot of show tunes in theater. That's really our thing. Like we'll just break out into song all the time. And anyway, yeah, right. And so she said, Maji or Majina, like it changes. I love you. I'm going to be really honest with you. And I'm like, oh my God, all of a sudden after all these years, ha ha ha. And she goes, when I saw Allah Akbar written on my wall, it made me very uncomfortable. And of course I said, oh, I totally get that. She goes, I'm not asking you to take it down. I go, right. Do you want to know what I've learned about it? Do you want me to share my experience with what it really means if you go deeper underneath all the... And that's exactly what it's like.
Right.
I was about to say your mic went out.
Yeah. And she said, yes, I do. And so I educated her about what I'm learning about it. And she's like, her mind was blown because, again, it's going back to your example. If it seems to me like our brain's an algorithm, and this is, function, and all of a sudden she's in complete shock because she was under the belief, that powerful belief, that it meant, I'm going to kill you and go to 13, whatever they mainstream BS has built it up to be over the years, like many things.
Yeah.
And
Mentalism with the whole program.
what?
Construing, like, you got Islamic fundamentalists and Christian fundamentalists, where this is all part of where I parted with Catholicism. Was I was in Catholic school, and I was like half a history buff and half a religion buff, and I'm going, Jesus didn't teach to go do the Crusades. And I parted with Christianity and Catholicism over the Crusades when I was like 12. And so I proceeded to, I was like, I'm going to learn about all the religions in the world and see, back to cross-referencing, what eternal truth is in them. But I think that's the part you're talking about. It's the 72 virgins and the 13 levels of heaven, and
the meaning of Allah Akbar.
Yes, the mainstream meaning. So the misinformation or disinformation or whatever. I mean, but the bottom line is she was open. She heard it. She heard me. And this is what I do love about weaving connections with humans, is it really shifted the way she thought about it. And then she shared with me, she had a good friend. She's in the coffee business, or was. And her friend reverted to the path to Islam, and she married into a family and wears a burqa and everything. And so she started sharing more about her friend's, experience and such. So I don't really remember what the hell the point was, but
I thought you were going to say what it means. Doesn't it mean happiness is submission to God or something like that?
Well, my whole experience with the path to Islam is going back to your initial thing, is seeking, praying, serving something outside of yourself. In this case, Muhammad, who, or in Christianity, you mentioned Jesus, Yeshua, whatever you want to call him. It's just that whole idea, the conditioning or whatever. And sometimes when I'm speaking, things are really fast in my head. So I've practiced slowing down and listening more, because this is where I'm at in this moment, with no lack of life experience and not interested any longer in sharing my resume with people. I don't know anything, period. Yeah. And belief, in my experience with this beautiful little recording machine up here, is where the power and separation is. Because it goes to, I believe this, and therefore it's true for everybody. And that's where the disconnect begins, instead of how I choose to live. Well, actually, I don't believe anything anymore, but boy, I have a lot of experience with believing a lot of things. And I'm open to hearing, curiously, where you're at, but I no longer have any desire to fix, or I just practice like I'm listening to the two of you. Earlier, when you mentioned my perception of what you said, the introversion, and then we visited it, was my many experiences before, during the plant path, that I call it, and now is rototilling. I've been rototilled beyond bones crushing and the brain, the Rubik's Cube. I mean, so much. People talk about near-death experiences, which to me is very similar when you're in any kind of hallucinogenic. It's very similar with the breath and what happens. And so we don't really die, because if that's why it says near-death, not I died. Well, I didn't really die. This little thing up here had some hallucinations or whatever of what's already in there, in the entirety of what it seems. Now, pay attention. What it seems in the moment is a mass conditioning, and the rising has been going on for, to my calculations, only based on experience of belief, is that these are numbers. So take what you want, leave the rest. 10,000 years is what it's going to take for humanity to become whatever it is the fuck we think we're supposed to become, which is nothing. And I don't know, because everyone takes verses from the Bible and the Quran and the mystics and the Sikhs and the Judaism and the Jaidism and the Hinduism and all of it. And I can read something that was written in the 1930s, again in the 1950s, and again present day, and they all three say the exact same thing. So I go to water. We're in a closed water system. There is no new thought, no new memory. Again, apparently, I don't know. Write a story, make a movie.
Making me think of collective consciousness.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever we want to call it, there's a million names for one thing. So it's like the lotus flower. Many people know the spiritual meaning of it, but do what I just recently, and I love learning new, is it's the only flower that blooms and fruits at the same time. Oh, not just about being in the mud and growing out of the mud to the light, but anyway, it's just, and that's what I like to be in, to remember to be in discovery and presence of being careful to listen while I'm speaking.
Yes.
And pausing and breathing. So where I'm at is I have slowed down tremendously. But depending on the context, if you get me on a roll, and I think Elton and I have already experienced this, I will go on and on and on and on and on. And then I go, oh my God.
It throws up.
And then I don't, and so it just is, it changes. It's like water, water. So closed memory system, no new ideas. Everybody gets an idea in the shower, and there are some people who take action and some who don't. But so I feel like in the moment, it's eternal. Everybody gets a turn. And my self-reflection is simply, I get to choose how I react to it. But my reaction is all mine inside. Like yesterday, I feel like I created a really intense movie for myself. Talked about emotions and feelings. And I was walking in the woods last night. I do every night in the dark. God, the fireflies are just blowing my mind. It's like an arena of concert lights. Back when we used to
south.
Yeah. So, and then I'm like, wow, damn, what you can create in a day. Whew! Or relive, or remember, or forget. I don't know.
Yeah. Agreed. I did want to clarify. I did go into the introversion and extroversion and stuff, but what I was trying to really ask, I guess, was, about the process, right? So from the going through a retreat, and someone's going in and they're going through their psychedelic experience for some sort of experience towards learning an inner truth or breaking out of something or gaining a new perspective. I guess where I was asking a question was, is that, in your perspective, something that is focusing on truth, just revealing truth, or revealing emotional and feeling as a path? I don't know exactly how to ask the question, I guess. Feeling versus truth. Emotion versus truth, in a sense. I don't know why I'm focused on that, but it keeps coming to mind.
That actually a good segue to my thought that where Ma G was going. Have you seen the movie Dogma?
Yes.
Ma G, you remember that movie by chance? Dogma? Yeah, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Chris Rock, it was like an all-star cast by
I don't think I watched that, no.
Well, so in it, Chris Rock plays this Rufus, this angel, and he says, beliefs have torn down entire civilizations, and people get trapped in beliefs. Now, ideas are great. It's a concept. You could change it. That's a movie quote that brings me into is memtic now. Your beliefs don't make you open-minded. Your ability to change your beliefs based on new information makes you open-minded.
Love it.
And Elton, it comes back to the subjective is truth. It's like I read the Celestine Prophecy when I was 20, and then I read it 3-4 more times before I was 30. Then I started passing it out, and every time I read that book, I'm reminding myself of those insights, but I'm also seeing them different from a new perspective, because I'm in that, the old, you can't step in the same river twice. I'm a different person when I read it. I read Aldous Huxley, The Island, before I went to yoga school. And then I read it after I went to yoga school, and I was like, oh my Lord, this is all yoga. And like Star Wars, it's all yoga. The Force is prana. You know, you could go one correlation after another, and that's the retelling of the same story where people, it's not original thoughts. It's just a reframing or like relabeling things where people are like, oh, I can catch it then. You know, when you say prana and breath, I don't understand. But when they say the Force, oh, okay, I can understand all interconnected energy, but it's the same thing. Yeah, the truth, it doesn't change. It's that subjective perspective where we see, it's that facet, that gem, which, by the way, I'm working on a piece on that.
Okay.
I just got to figure out how to make it turn when you like walk past it.
Wait a minute, are you talking about an art piece?
Yeah, I was probably 25, and my 14-year-old little cousin, he was just, I love that kid. He couldn't tie his shoes, but he would watch an interaction and just he would be standing on it from a different point, and he'd bring something up to me, and I was like, from the mouths of babes, you know, you always turn that gem so I see a different facet. You know, say a princess cut diamond, you know, there's something like 120 facets on it, and from where I'm standing, I can only see this part, so you need to turn that gem and see the planes and the facets that are cut into it.
Yeah, first time you had mentioned that, for me, I had a visualization because I'm very visual, and I considered it as the light shining through the gem always cast a different vibratory color.
Yeah.
Every angle. And that's how it resonated with me. I was like, yeah. So your gym metaphor hit me with color and light. I was like,
yeah.
Oh.
As you shift, you go through the color spectrum, right? Yeah. When we're able to break into the infrared and the electromagnetic, it's like that the filter is ripped away, and we're just swimming in it.
I guess where I'm starting to zone in on my question here, the direction I guess I'm headed, because I really am looking at both of the two of you as facilitators, you know, and from that perspective, I guess I have a question as far as directionality of someone's going on their journey. In your perspective, are they headed into truth or emotion? Are they going towards feeling, unlocking some inner thing, or connecting to a larger external thing? I mean, I get what you said, Gina. It's all internal. It truly is. We're all part of this larger whole, but it is expressed and felt from the inside. But then, is it something that's based in just connecting to a truth, or releasing a feeling or connecting to a feeling? Just looking for perspective on from where you are.
What popped in my head was it's muddled. It's the photon, unobserved photon, and then when you observe it, it becomes the wave. And so maybe the trough is the emotion, and the peak is the truth. It's like here's I'm in the ocean. Here's I'm riding the wave. Here's I'm back in the ocean. I'm riding the wave. And then we got to figure out how to ride multiple waves at once.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that from two different points at the same time, from feeling and from base reality, physicality. It's like dreaming self and reality self are both grasping what you're saying there. I like that. Did you have anything on that, Gina?
Well, what came to me was my past obsession with that exact question. And the more I would share in groups of people who, hold on. I don't think there's an answer. It's your experience. I know that sounds like, what is the point of having interactions with people if we don't have the answers? Well, I don't know.
Right.
I feel like it's important to listen. And again, we started with this and we've been talking for 35 minutes and we're right back to it.
Yeah.
Talk about a wave, jumping wave to wave, right? Surfing the Zubaya. So I think that it's beautiful inquiry. And I think that this is going to be a fun journey for you, continuing the inquiry of truth versus emotion and feelings. And when you're speaking, I'm just, and as Baco shared visually, which I liked, is the waves.
Yeah.
Where I'm at is, for me, I'm not trying anymore to figure it out. And that can be, I'm being ripped of identity and belief, and I don't have any answers, and I'm finding fewer and fewer people interesting to talk to.
Yeah.
And I enjoy being in my body, and I sing to my lungs and my knees and my toes and my nose and my ears and my mouth and my soul. I give so much attention to the inside. I chant and I sing to my knees. At my age, I want to please them, to continue my spine to carry me. So my focus is in, and you are a tree, and Baco, you are a tree. And when I see trees, which I'm looking at about 500 of them right now, where I live in the woods,
Estoy celoso.
every tree is an individual, but all connected underneath. We don't see it all happening.
I saw where you were
So what's fun is I don't get mad at trees. I don't judge trees. When I see a tree, I'm like, wow, look how it's circled. Those two look like there's a threesome. And I have a picture of 3 trees humping. I shared that with Andrew the other day. So my practice is, and this is a Ram Dass playoff too. You mentioned Ram Dass, turning people into trees. And so when I start to judge and I can feel it creeping in, it's rising, I'm like, oh, you're starting to judge. Therefore, you're not listening. You're a tree. What do you got? I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to hug you. I'm going to sit on you. I might just walk past you. Bada bing, bada boom. And I may ask you that question. Is there this truth or is it my emotion? I might stop and ask a tree. That's what I encourage you to do, Elton. Go ask a fucking tree. Or that water hole that you made. I love that video. I watched your videos, many of them. I love your way of capturing emotion and truth on film without words. But that building that little, you created a lake. And then later you were filming underneath in the canal, it looked like under a bridge, the little snail and the water. See, these are the things, like, I've become so obsessed. I've always been obsessed with nature, but I find myself videotaping and taking pictures more and sharing of nature than of me, yak, 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 yak. And, because there's so much rising and revealing happening in humanity. I want to go back real quick to end this on the 10,000 years. So I've making a U-turn. I'm 60 now. I just turned 60. I'm making a U-turn. It's been a very long one. Back to when I was 17, where I voluntarily thought, compliments to the chef. I had no religious upbringing, no spiritual practice, and I was shakabuku'd. Shakabuku is like saying on the path to Islam. They say reverted because they don't believe you're converting. They believe you're coming back. Christianity, it's converting. And lay Buddhism, there are many under the umbrella. Shakabuku is their version of it. So Shakabuku, which they don't practice necessarily anymore. I was 17 living in Arizona, barefoot in the desert outside of Circle K. A couple guys came up to me with an open bed truck. You want to come chant at our altar? Now, I had no idea I was being shakabuku'd. That's what it's called. And I jumped in the back of the truck. Would I do that today or encourage young people? No, that doesn't mean they won't, but it's probably rare that would happen today.
Right.
Would they be without shoes? I don't know. It depends where you live. But I did, and I jumped in, and I went and started chanting. Now, talk about the waves. Now here, I'm revisiting that. I'm revisiting it, and that's where I learned the next part about the lotus flower, which mass media doesn't talk about that part. They talk about how it grows in the mud, and then, the whole spiritual enlightenment part of that example. And so coming back to,
she's shakabukuing us right now, you see.
and then there's the organization, and then I don't know. It just feels like the 10,000 years is when I went deeper into Nichiren, who's one of the people, Japanese man, although it's not a Japanese practice, apparently, whatever, talked about a question that I had for many years. Because when I first started my self-awareness journey, and I prefer self-awareness versus spiritual, religious, it's like I'm paying attention now to my actions and choices. How long have these Buddhists been chanting for peace? I mean, how long? I mean, Jesus in the 2000 BC and AC and AD. I mean, for the love of God, when are we going to actually experience peace in humanity? What the fuck? It just goes on, and then you die. And then you're only remembered because you're on a video or a photo, Day of the Dead, if you keep an altar. So I read in there that when he was interviewed or something he wrote, and this is a human, so it's a story, and so it's a belief, so I don't know what the truth is. And quite honestly, I don't know that if that's possible outside my own perception, going back to your question, Elton, that it would take 10,000 years of chanting, and we are 2,600 into it. So when I did the math, and I don't do math normally, but I did the math, and I'm like, oh my God, we're only less than 3,000 years into this? The fuck? I am so fucking tired, and I'm really, really want out of here. So I've been trying to get out of here since I was born, and that's a legitimate story of my birth. So anyway, so that brings me back to, this is just eternity, and that's it. So my unnecessary suffering, I'm going to call it, comes from when I'm in resistance or when I'm in need. That's my experience. And now I can tell that I am. I just did it yesterday. I'm like, what just happened to me? I was in a really great mood. My whole body is just like, and I was remembering, oh my God, this is what it feels like. This is an old memory in your body. Oh, so this is what that feels like.
Well,
my intuition speaking to me, reminding me, I don't know, the brain, the body, we keep trying to separate them. They're together. I would love my brain. I don't want it to shut up. I'm not going to try to meditate it to silence. I'm going to love it, love it, love it. You little recorder. You just don't know what else to do but record. How do you keep recording? But I'm just not going to always listen to your playback. I might put you over there in the corner where I go write a wave. But so it's just this coming and this inner rising. You know, we talk about the new world and all the fucking language, and the mother's been rising, you know, and rising through us, and breath seems to be what's in charge, breathing us. People say, well, it's like, I don't know. And I know I've said this before, Elton, and I'm going to say it again. Are you breathing or are you being breathed?
Yes. The connectivity.
You know, and
to
the answer
ether,
is always interesting. What?
the connectivity to the ether, as soon as you stop, it stops and you cease to exist.
Right? And then what do? We market breath work. There's 7 different forms of breath practices, but it's not work. Because when I'm sleeping, I ain't fucking working. I'm being breathed. And that's it. So my breath is in charge.
There's this thought that just came to mind about something that Josie had said in the last interview, was about, this is sort of like a second awakening of psychedelics that we're going into. And I want to say I wasn't there for the first awakening of psychedelics in our society here in the Western world, but it did seem to affect the larger consciousness of all humanity. As it hit, it rippled out and caused effects in, I want to say, tech and society, and so many things evolved out of that first psychological experience in humanity from the psychedelic revolution. The first one, Leary and, you know, all the progenitors who brought that about. It went into Parsons and Gates and all these people, but it also went into philosophy and all kinds of sectors of music and art and Warhol and Morrison and all these things. and it totally changed a lot of humanity long term. But I feel like we are going into a second round, in a sense, of this effect of psychoactive substances on humanity as a whole. And when you say, 10,000 years, I kind of feel like we made a huge jump during that first section, and we're starting to take another large leap again, but we're just like the spring is coiling, and it hasn't released yet, but it's coiling, and the people who are about to be part of making it pop are coiling like a snake. Like the Kundalini is not risen, but it's poised or poising. And that's just a sense that I have. And that's kind of how I'm feeling about what we're doing in this is getting people in a way ready to do it in a safe manner and not take it to oh shit, we need to regulate this. It's getting out of control. So it's sustainable. Now, I'm looking at it from a perspective after speaking with Andrew is not just a participant, but a responsible party, not as a moderator, but as a, like he keeps telling me, facilitator, not a server. You know what I mean? Like somebody who facilitates. And that's how I'm seeing you, Gina, you, Baco, as facilitators of an experience that can be journeyed upon with an outcome that is not as it can become out of control and destructive. Any thoughts on that? I know it's totally way out, a little random from where we were going, but
I went to yoga school to deepen my practice. I didn't go. I can't stand yoga teachers. I say yoga lead. Like here's the path, y'all. If you want to walk it, walk it. Like I make maps. I made maps for a living. I can picture Tucson. I can get an aerial view in my head, and you kind of tell me, oh, I'm in the northeast corner, I'm in the northwest corner, whatnot. Is facilitation versus serving where you went is kind of that teacher versus lead, It actually brings me back to She Who Seeks, my life coaching firm that I started. I named it Pantha, which is Sanskrit for wanderer, seeker of knowledge. Pantha, which is, I guess, if you Google it now, it's changed, but it's direct out of the autobiography of a yogi. I read that 800-page book while I was there. Well, yeah, we'll exhaust ourselves trying to lead the horses to water and make them drink it. It's like, you need water? It's over there, horse. You come back after you've quenched your thirst, and let's talk after. I need water. I'm in a desert. I grab the willow branch and spin it and find the water. Dig the hole. Oh man, we were out in San Luis. I shared this one with you in Elton when we was going to that native peace warrior convention where the speakers, and we was talking about witching water out. I was in San Luis Valley in southern Colorado. And we were tired of going all the way to Rio Grande. It was a whole 2 miles, but we only had like 2 5-gallon jugs, and we had to carry water. Oh, you learn respect for water when you have to go get it and carry it and conserve it. And when that cat showed me how to witch water, it was desert. It looked like a desert. It's chaparral, alkaline. And this cat shows me how to witch water out. And he said, okay, he spins the things and they cross over because water creates an electrical field from the motion. And we dug maybe 18 inches, and it just started bubbling up. I was like, cool, we don't have to go, and I learned how to make the map to find the water in physicality. There's metaphorical water, but then there's also literal water. And I like where you keep coming back to breath. And I've heard you say, are we breathing or being breathed? And for me, it's all breath and water. Can't do nothing without breath and water.
You both have brought up water a few times, and that's something I wanted touch on right quick, just for a brief second, is, when I was 16, I think my first real heavy psychedelic experience, I had a realization that everything that's alive has water in it, and everything that is not of consciousness does not. It is void of water, like silicon, which computer-based technology is based on silicon, which is void of water, which is kind of strange. It's kind of starting to run our society and humanity in a way. But it's like we're in a battle with it. Like silicon is now taking our water, right, to cool all these things, and it's almost killing humanity for the silicon existence. It's kind of odd, right?
It may be void of water, but even silicon needs it.
In the moisture, yes, because it has to be cooled. Right, but it's almost like it's working against us in a sense, that it's using our water that we need to live so it can survive. It's a little at odds in coexistence.
Yeah.
Right? But just that truth of water is in all living things, and if we were to burn away like in alchemy and end up with the essences, the water would evaporate to the heavens, and what would remain would be those base elements that would forever be burnable and stay in this realm forever. Just an odd essence of being that struck me at my first experience. And when you're bringing up water, that's what keeps coming to mind. Just wanted to mention.
And burnables are breathing. Fire breathes.
Mm.
So it comes right back around.
It does.
I'm gonna go on a different tangent. Maji, you made me think of the Ouroboros a little while ago, and I remember your snake tattoo, and I just saw it again. Curiosity, no beliefs, your concepts of the snake and snake symbology, etc. Gray wall.
Oh, there it goes. Wall-E.
Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Animated movie Wall-E.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was.
Better protect that
When
little
you're
plant.
speaking, huh? Yeah. When you're speaking, I had a similar experience with one little plant, and one of my first plant ayahuasca ceremonies ever. Anyway, I just find that also fascinating how, I don't know if it's art imitating life or life imitating art, but when you're speaking about the Silicon Valley, which is the reason why ayahuasca became mainstream, Silicon Valley.
Good old Bay
you know
Area.
Huh?
Good old Bay Area. That's where I'm from, girl.
I mean, and I know a woman personally who interned with the curandero person outside Iquitos, Peru. And he was it was in the 80s. They put him on the cover of Time or one of those. And somebody from Silicon Valley saw that, flew to Peru. We want that. Offered money, and everything changed at that moment. No blaming. I mean, I've spent much time in South America living there. So I've seen, this goes back to the rototiller. I was in the airport, and I had all of in the beginning, I was selling the Icaros and all the clothes, and all of the Peruvians that were flying out were in Nike and Adidas, and I'm this white girl in all of their Icaros clothes, and none of them had their own clothes on. That's just one of many examples. I'm walking out in the middle of the jungle, and I see TVs and satellite dishes, and I can hear podcasts. I'm like, and a weed whipper at 4 a.m. at Machu Picchu. What the fuck? What is happening? It's okay. So it's wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
Anyway, when you were
commodification.
Yeah, I was thinking about the movie Wall-E and how that's what's happening. In reality, this is part of what you were just saying. That's how I visualize that movie, because of course I saw it when my son was little and realized all these kid movies that the messages are for the adults, and how do they know, and whatever.
I watch them all.
Yeah, right. So I forgot my point. You were going to go off on another tangent, Baco, you said. So let's do that because I don't remember where I was going.
No, my tangent was snake symbolism.
Oh, snakes. Do you know what's funny? I'm from Oregon. I've only lived here like 15 months.
Where at Oregon?
Portland, Eugene.
What's up, Portland? I know Eugene.
Yeah, you remind me, you're a total doppelganger of my friend named Justin. When I first saw you, I'm like, oh my God, this is so true. And I've been stopped twice since I've been here. People absolutely cannot believe I'm not the person that they're seeing. So this whole doppelganger thing, and then you and Justin, I'm like, wow. It's just like, okay, I'm paying attention. So anyway, snakes. And I loved your coiling example. I'm not an artist. Or I have all the material to make art, but I'm not an artist. So I'll make every once in a while, I'll draw something. And if I draw, it's a big deal because I don't draw. But when you were talking, and this is what I have found interesting, seemingly, what I do draw, and then I set it aside, and then I'm like, God, I know I've moved so many times, so I know I have that drawing somewhere, right? But what's happening now is the drawings that I make, which maybe there's 2 or 3 I'm thinking of, years later, it's like, I drew this. And then I'm just like, okay, did I draw that? Did I create this? And then you go through all that, and then I come back to it doesn't matter. It's eternal. Everyone gets a turn. So, snakes. So I've always loved snakes. I stepped over first time I ever stepped over a snake was probably when I was a teenager, floating down the Salt River. You know, I grew up in Arizona, river rat. I stepped over a rattlesnake after I almost drowned because that's when we used to tie the inner tubes together.
Oh, yeah.
And I got caught between 2 ropes and when people stopped tying. But anyway, and blew up all the cliffs that we used to jump off. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And so I stepped over a rattlesnake and I just froze. Okay, so remember that. That was somewhere maybe the late 70s. So now it's 2026. And there were no snakes in Oregon. There might have been like little teeny harmless. But here in the yards, there are copperheads. There are also black snakes, which we love. But I walk every night in the woods. And as it's getting warmer, I'm like, so this is this coiling of, am I going to not go on a walk in the woods? Because now I'm concerned I'm going to get bit by a fucking snake. So I wear my, rain boots every time I go out. And then I'm aware of my fear of being bit, even though I'm on a trail. It's not like I'm traipsing through the leaves where they're hiding. But this picture I drew that you described in your share, Elton, happened when I was visiting my mother. And this is a long story, so I'm going to try. But I felt the snake coiling. It's like that first phase of what the second phase we're going into now that you described in the world of humanity. And I could feel the snake coiled. It's getting ready to fucking spring. I could feel it. And boy, did it. And it came through me and blew up my family. And this is when I was way, way, way heavily into ayahuasca and all the plant medicines. And my mother was, okay. So now I'm living somewhere where I don't really necessarily know if I'm going to stay here. I don't know what's happening, but I don't appreciate all the snakes. Because I love nature and I never have to even think about this walking up rivers. In order for me to go somewhere and walk in a river now, I'm going to have to drive to Asheville, which is not where I am. I'm there, it's north of me in the mountains. Anyway, so the snakes, this particular snake, my experiences before and during my years traveling on the plant path was I always picked up where I left off. And I've drank in hundreds of times. This isn't a braggadocious thing. I drank to learn and I observed many and sat with many, many, many facilitators of South American, Western, Mexican, and the Mayan and the like. What I always experienced, no matter what, was snakes and muck and gugh. And are you fucking, everyone's like, oh, I'm making love to the universe. And, every once in a while I'd see fractals, but I'm telling you, my journeys were always like in the dark depth of why do I keep coming? That was my question. Why do I keep doing that? Why do I keep going back to this? I don't even want to do this anymore. when I lived in Peru, I just watched a clip my sister sent me of a guy talking about how he had a near-death experience at an ayahuasca ceremony in Peru with a curandera, which he called a shaman. And it was a clip, and it was like, oh, I lost all this weight. And they showed pictures of him skinny. And then, you know, I was so sick, and we drank ayahuasca and combo. And then they showed his frog face. But the way they presented it is that no, he was sick. And I'm just bringing this up because this goes all the way back to the circles that keep the coiling. Okay? Over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so, and he was saying how finally, after all this time, he finally said to the shaman, I'm just so sick. And the person said, you need no more ayahuasca. Now, the reason why I'm laughing is because that's exactly the opposite of my experience. I lost a shit ton of weight, of course, because I'm eating all this amazing natural food. I'm taking medicines of every kind and complete overhaul and doing combo at my kuhuza. So I'm the one who said, no more. Y'all need to stop. I overdosed on San Pedro, all of it. I'm like, I don't want any more of this. I was supposed to be there much longer, and I ended up leaving early. No more, because discernment is something you experience to learn, and you cannot teach it. It just is it. You can't stop people from, like you said, water's over there, you know. Yeah, but I need you to take me to the water, and then I need you to put me in the water, and then I need you to hold my hand, and then I need you to sing to me, and I need you to blow smoke over my face, and I need a feather, and just go jump in the fucking water, right? Yeah. So this story, the snake, is the story of discernment for me, and this is the second coming you talked about that I can feel it again, and my mother, I'm watching an older become an elder, which I've never experienced yet, because people say once you're a certain age, you can't change. My mother is 88. I'm not going to go any deeper, but I'm experiencing this going, oh, I need to let the breath do what it does, because I don't know. I don't know. What I feel is I can forgive like a motherfucker. You want me to teach you something? I can't teach you anything, but I will forgive the fuck out of you. I'm not asking you to forgive me, but that's something that's blowing my mind, is the ability to forgive. And I'm talking about some severe, not just physical, but emotional, mental abuse. I'll forgive you. That, to me, is like the connection to forgiveness is the snake. Snake is a snake is a snake is a snake. You can play with it all you want. You can love it and keep it, but it's going to bite you because it's a snake. It's just the way it is. So we're riding the wave of the snake. And so to me, this came to me with my runes and the copy vine and the water. And these are actually supposed to be icaros, is the diversity of everything wanting to be the same. So you touched on it, Baco, too. It's like there's so many, all of it, but it's all saying the same thing. It reminds me of the story in the Bible about the town of Babel, where all of a sudden everyone's speaking a different language. Nobody understands anybody. Now it seems like now we're like using different language, but we're saying the same thing. Watch the pain flower. Just let the pain flower. Nope. Gotta fix it. Fix it, because we're suffering. Yeah, we are. Everyone is. We keep trying to change that. And I think there's some truth to that being part of the continuation of humanity suffering, is resisting pain.
I love where you went with that, and I really want to say that for me is a sum total point of healing that I have found through psychedelics. Not only that, but just spiritual deep dive and shadow work, is the letting go is the healing process, the forgiveness, the part where you go to that place. And that's where I guess we're kind of coming full circle of my question that I truly already had the answer to. I just was looking for perspective from other people, how they see, how you and Baco see it. But how I do have found on my journey is working backwards through my feelings, because I did want to do my shadow work, and I would see my reflection in someone, and instead of being angry with them or letting it trouble with me, I'd be like, why is this bothering me? And then I'd look at that in me and where I was that way, or where I'm not expressing that part of me. And then I'd go to the place in time in the past or wherever it is that I was told no or don't or can't or whatever. And then I'd feel that and go through that emotion and let it surface and deal with it, like be that and act it out and play it through it. And then it's okay. And forgive them, forgive me, fuck it, whatever, let it go. And then it's like, oh shit, like, it's a release. And that to me is the healing process. And I guess that's the perspective that I've taken away from doing any kind of spiritual journeying through medicines. I've kind of done it, like I said before, by myself. All my things have been not with facilitators or a lot of times not with anybody. Just me going out to the desert by myself, fucking tripping. And just going through whatever, I'm up on Fry Mesa in Safford on a bunch of mescaline. Just me. And looking around, watching the clouds come in from the freaking space or whatever. And just going through it, like forgiving my mother and my father for being human and not knowing any better because they're just people too. And me for my experience, not having any control over what it is. And it is what it is. And shit, all I got is right now. Let it be. And then that release of, okay, all I can do is what I can do right now. The rest of it just fucking happens. It's not even up to me, and then having that experience moving forward from that place has been freeing for me, and that's all I can do is look at it from my perspective, but then share it as well. Seems to be part of where I'm being led to go nowadays, is to share it, I guess. And as well, through what we're doing, we're all doing it now. We're having these meetings and then I'm putting it up and people are watching them and they're seeing what we're saying, and taking away from that and using it for growth, I'd hope. And I guess that's what the point as well of being a facilitator and helping people to have those experiences and waking up to their own inner truths and their own feelings, both. Like you said, Baco, it's both. They're connected, and I keep coming to that. You've got the negative, the positive, and the in-between. And the in-between holds the two together and apart at the same time. It's like the negative, the positive, what is it? Neutron, electron, proton, right? You got all three, but that neutron is what holds it together and holds it apart at the same time. It's not either, it's all.
It's a wave.
It's a wave. Keeps going back to the wave. I love it. I know we've had a long conversation. It's been fantastic. I mean, you both have some closing things to say?
And thank you, Mon G, for sharing your thoughts on snakes. And so I've been playing with rattlesnakes since I'm like 7-8 years old. The first time was on accident. But I've always been fascinated with snakes. But the South, copperheads and cottonmouths, those are pit vipers without a warning system. I don't dance with those yet. Yeah, I want the warning system. Oh, you're over there? Cool. Want to talk for a moment? Well, I'm gonna hold you by the neck.
Yep.
Most definitely.
Oh, my mom did not like when I started keeping rattlesnakes.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah, it took her years. On a funny note. So being in Catholic school, they had All Saints Day is the day after Halloween, and I went as Saint Peter and brought my snake in like the second grade. I got suspended for 2 weeks. And my mom, like 30 years later, is like, "What was I thinking, letting you take a ball python to a Catholic school full of nuns. Like, and I had an interesting experience because, like, second grade, they could still hit us. Third grade was the law passed; they couldn't hit us no more. And I was an ornery kid. I'm like, my homework's done. I got an A. Don't throw an eraser at me because I'm drawing. I'll throw it back at you. But yeah, copperheads and cottonmouths. They're just pit vipers without a warning system. So
Yeah.
I got a window terrarium designed for. I want to get a blue tree viper. They have where most snakes have a shiny scale. It's a flat scale. These things look like little dragons. They got horns on their eyes, like a sidewinder rattlesnake. And they stay real small. But my yoga room is blue. I got blue all over the place, and it's always opposing, looking at the blues, always looking at each other. Well, yeah, she said coppermouths. They're over there in the leaves.
Yeah, copperheads. No doubt.
Beware of the sounds of crying children. The mountain lions.
It sounds like a bird chirping.
There's they're either otters or beavers. First I thought it was an otter, and then I read that no, otters usually travel in groups. I'm like, well, this is a single, and porpoises, man, it's feeding where the young teenage boys go at this part of the river on the weekend evenings and fish. And then I saw 3 of them the other night. But again, I'm in the dark, so I can't really see. A flashlight's I don't want to shine it on them, and I'm not gonna be able to see them anyway. But there was 3 of them, and I'm like, God, maybe they're beavers. So I don't know if they're beavers or otters, but nonetheless, the first time I was out there, and it was like, I'm like, and then I was startled a little bit, and I'm like, wait a minute, you just did a vision quest. Now you're afraid to be in the dark in the woods. Now let's look at that. And then fast forward, and I was overhearing the guys fishing, and one of them did that, and I heard the young kid go, "What the fuck is that?" It's just sweet. The natural first reactions, I call them virgin reactions and it's a child. This has been brought up in this conversation a couple times, and there's this, and I really sense it in you, Baco. Not that I don't sense it in you, Elton. I sense it in both of you in a different way, but I sense the child. And when I sense the child, and I look at you as a tree child, then I tune into benevolent compassion, which is often taught through yoga and other things, is compassion. And I feel like I don't need to be taught anything anymore. I've been being taught ever since I've had 2 legs, and now I need to just listen to what's there. And Andrew and I have been talking to Dev, and something came to fruition, and we had a long talk about it. And I'm like, this is not a unique idea. There's thousands of retreat centers and thousands of people that have been doing this since the 80s, if not before with the first one. But there are thousands of coffee shops and thousands of massage therapists. There's enough for everybody, and we never should stop just because it's already been done. And the worst thing that I could say as an elder to anyone is, you're just learning that? Oh, no. Somebody says something to me, and I've seen the picture 100 times, or I've heard the song. I go, oh my God, I love that. I don't need to explain to you that that's so 1990, and I can't, and I went through the phase where I did do that, because everyone gets a turn. So now, as I'm being graced with becoming an elder, and I use elder, Baco, instead of older, because I'm assuming you know the difference. And so that's what's important to me, is become an elder, not be an older, which is, and no self, awareness, just like, it's your turn. Doesn't even matter how old you are, young or older. It's just like my mom, again, lessons learning, 88. I'm literally going, this is so validating that all of this and us talking and this weave is, that snake coil, it just keeps pulling. Feels like we keep pulling and wrapping around this, what seems to be to me a rotted, diseased root ball that we're all. And so I have great hope for that. And that's the one thing I left out of me sharing, going all the way back to 17, is my original interest in self-awareness or spirituality was I felt I would look around and be like, this world is just suffering. You know, I was just a kid and I sensed it, and I always have. And then I became whatever happened to me, where I stopped, I was suppressed and told this way, that way. A lot of rules when facilitators are fearful serving, it can be dangerous. And I went into AA at 18 voluntarily. And when I started on the plant path in 2017, after many, many paths, I'm like, this is just integration. It's just a big AA meeting. And oh, my lands. So I really started learning, like, you got to step back because you look younger than you are. You sound younger than you are. You're going to be the character in these people's movies. So can you just be it? Oh, no, I can't be that. I can't be that. I must tell you who I am. I'm very important. So all of that has got to go for me to continue to truly think about humanity in that root ball, not just me first, always. And then, wow, I have hope in this universe, if you will, for lack of a different term, that what you said, Elton, is let it be. This is just it. It's just like, I don't know. Everyone says things. Choose to believe, oh, I had it. I read it and my life was changed. I don't even remember what I read back when my life was changed, you know? Just keeps shifting. It's very beautiful. And I appreciate, Baco, I told you this in the email, and I took a while to get back to you. I don't go in there very much. And I loved your energy through your writing because, again, I could feel, Elton, puppy dog, hello, pup. I could feel your energy and your liveliness, you know? And this is, both of you, I feel that, and the puppy. It's not a practice. It's natural. The youth energetic that we're all three weaving right now. It feels like the rising is bringing us all up together, of those of us that the breath chooses to weave in this garden, right? We got different gardens. This is just another garden.
I love it.
What's that dog
Gardens have mycelium. When you say elder and older, the sense I'm getting of your description is elder is like experience and acceptance, and older is just age.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, older is a number. You could still be a dogmatic sophist and be, 75 years old and have a closed mind because of your beliefs.
It is.
So fun thing. I spent a lot of time in the wild. And I get a kick out of when people are like, we're in the middle of nowhere. Like, no, we're sitting in a truck on a road with a sign. That ain't nowhere, homie. You want to go nowhere? Let's go. Because of wildland firefighting and land surveying, I've gotten to be where there are no roads. You know, my favorite thing in wildland is being coyoted out, is what we call it. But you're like 100 feet from the fire and they're dropping supplies in with a helicopter versus being in base camp. But I remember I was out in New Mexico in the Chihuahuan Desert, and kind of a funny. So I'm talking to this cat in Madrid, Spain. He had sent me some Lephora whimsy plants, and I still my ethnobotanical gardens are all based on this guy's setup in Madrid, more or less. But I'm like, so the package landed, man. What should I use for substrate? And he's like, aren't you in the Chihuahuan Desert? And that desert is different than the Sonoran Desert. The ground, the earth is more got a reddish brown to it, but it was hilarious. So I ended up filling like 3 sandbags. I still have sandbags at my property in Mimbres Valley in New Mexico, which is just west of the Chihuahuan Desert. But yeah, he's like, aren't you in the Chihuahuan Desert? Just get some of the soil there, because that's where Lephora whimsy is. The only place it grows naturally. Well, I was out there surveying out by Carlsbad. And I'm with this younger kid, and I had just started with the company, so you just have to start low man on the totem pole, and the kid had kind of a, lack of better terminology, like kind of a street gangster attitude, and we're walking through nowhere, and a rabbit shoots out, and this kid jumps like those kids. What the hell? And I'm like, hey man, if it runs from you, don't worry. If it runs at you, that's when you gotta worry. If it stands still with it.
Yeah.
A beautiful, that's the end right there, bud.
I love it.
That's the grand finale.
I love it. I do want to close out, and I do want to do the actual closeout with what you had said, Gina, about the otters, because I feel that ties very closely to what you just said, Baco, is otter is trust, leading with trust until proven otherwise, always. I want to say we had a great conversation. It's going to make a great thing for people to watch and be a part of with us. And thank you both.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
And my mic worked.
It did.
See you on the next wave.
Shout out to Margie.
Ciao.
Holler at me, Elton.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Elton.
Talk to you later, Baco.
I'm like a piece of wood on the open way. No master to serve and no one to save. Just going where the current wants to go, letting the wind dictate the flow. I shed the skin of the person I was, living life without a single cause. The echo bounces off the canyon wall, catching me gently before I fall.